Hi, I'm Kranti Sama. You're watching OVERDRIVE, and today we are at Volkswagen Annual Brand Conference, and we have Ashish with us.
Hi.
Thank you so much,
Hi,
Ashish, and congratulations on these unveilings.
Thank you.
And first thing first, we can see that the whole description of different variants.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to understand first, how is GT Line and GT Plus different?
Yeah, so अगर आप देख if you see when we launched the Taigun and the Virtus, we had a two-line structure, which was basically the dynamic line, which basically was the 1 liter variants that we had, starting from comfort line, high line to the top line. And then we had the 1.5 liter variants, which was the GT Plus. And then we introduced the GT last year. So that is how the lineup is. But if I look at how the market has moved over the years, customers are now differentiating cars based on the design appeal. Yeah? Performance everybody wants, and if the feedback that we have are both our engine options are performance oriented because both are turbocharged engine. So how do you now transform your line structure, keeping in mind the trend in our customers, or at least the customers who buy into Volkswagen, and differentiate it by style? So that's what we have done. Now we have the chrome line, or the chrome styled cars, which is our existing lineup, starting from comfort line, high line, and top line, and also the 1.5 liter engine chrome styled GT. Yeah, so that is what the chrome line is. Today what we have launched is the sport styled, or the sport line, which includes the GT Plus Sport, which is with black elements in the interior and exterior, and also the GT line, which now brings the GT-ness into a 1 liter or a lower price point. The GT line will be positioned between the high line and the top line on the 1 liter engine.
So, for Taigun, for example, how many variants now?
Yeah,
in your
so if
portfolio?
you look at it currently on the Taigun, on the 1 liter, we have the comfort line, high line, and the top line, which also has automatic and manual transmission options. On the 1.5 liter, we have the GT low, which is basically the high line based GT, and then two variants in that, manual and automatic, and two on the 1.5 with the DSG and the manual, with the top spec. So that is our current lineup. With the addition of these two, we are also evaluating whether we take out some of the variants as we go through the year.
Okay, so you'll also kind of rationalize it, and so what kind of ratio do you see, customer preference-wise?
Yeah, so-
Where do they go the most?
So if I look at the total, differentiation between 1 liter and 1.5 liter, 1.5 liter is around 35 to 40% of our sales, and 65 to 60% is the 1 liter.
And you also mentioned that Virtus is also a concept version. So,
Yes.
but at the same time, you haven't announced the prices for any
No,
of them.
so the price
when
announcement-
should we expect?
So the Taigun, basically, we will be launching, and with the price announcement towards the third week of April, and bookings have already started anyway, but the price announcement and formal launch will be towards the third week of April. The Virtus GT Plus Sport we are targeting to bring in the festive season.
What about the showstopper ID4? When
Yeah.
are you bringing it?
Yeah, so, this is the first official showcase. Our target is to bring and start sales of this car towards the end of this year.
So no festive season launch?
No, it has its own timelines because, the FBU imports have a timeline that we need to stick to. So it will take its time, and, target is to by the end of this year.
And how do you see the segment where you're trying to put this?
No, it's a very niche segment, to be honest. It's going to be positioned in a very premium space in the EV, whole juggernaut that's happening right now. EV market itself is not very big, but the endeavor is not to target volumes with this. Yeah, the endeavor is, or the way I see it, is as our first step towards electrification in India. Once we make this a success, we test the waters, we see how our cars are doing in the market, how the infrastructure is developing. It opens up the next steps that we want to take.
And how do you see the electric market right now? Because in India and even internationally, there is some sentiment which is not as excited about EVs as we were seeing it maybe 1 year back.
Whenever a transformation happens in any industry, leave aside the automotive industry, there are lots of ups and downs. This is a new territory for most of the manufacturers, most of the customers. So it takes a little bit of time for people to understand what makes sense for them. So that's the phase the entire industry is going for. I think the EV industry has also been heavily, at least in other markets, very dependent on policy support from the government. So, if those policies change, you do see some kind of a turbulence happening in the market. But these are natural things which happen during any transformation and will settle to a good point over the years. That's what we see happening globally. In India, it's a very, very small market right now. The number of players are very limited and very limited number of choices for the customers. So as people like us bring in more choices for the customers, the market will grow even further.
And you think that government should still think of supporting this segment, this market, more and more?
I think that's very clear that when you are doing a transformation at this scale, you do need policy support.
All right. And you also mentioned the kind of preference Indian customers have. They are going for feature-rich cars. How is that changing?
Very profoundly. If I look at the entire industry leave aside us, the sales of the top end variants constitute almost upward of 25% for everybody. So the customers are not willing to compromise today on any of the features or safety or performance of the car. They want everything. This aspiration in Indian market has always been there. But what was lacking was the capability to match those aspirations. What we see happening in India over the last 5 years is people now have the capability, the willingness to pay to match those aspirations.
And this has also helped you because...
That's our natural positioning, yeah. We have always been, a premium brand. We have always, looked at offering the top-end features, the top-end safety, which is our basic DNA, and a fun-to-drive experience to customers. So with the market moving also towards this trend, naturally plays into our territory.
And one question about the used car market. You said that that's a big potential for you. How do you plan to tackle it?
No, I think we are already very aggressive in the used car market. Last year, we did a study in terms of brand recall for organized, OEM-led pre-owned car. And typically, we constitute only 1.5% of the used car market. But our brand recall was ranked at around number 4 or 5. So we have worked a lot on establishing our used car business through the Daswelt Auto brand. We now have almost 130 touch points where our dealers, deal in trading in or buying and selling of used cars. So the important thing is that how do you establish a standard process and a trustworthy brand and a trustworthy service to the customers. That's been our endeavor and we're getting there.
And one customary question which I think I ask you every time. What about when we talk about premium segment and premium features? So are you still not willing to go below Virtus, and what do you want to say to Polo fans?
No, I know this question will come. At some point, my ambition, and this is not something which is very official, my ambition is that we need to bring the Polo, in whatever avatar, whether it is an SUV, whether it is an electric Polo, at some time, yes.
You're the boss, so I hope all the Polo fans are happy. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.